I am tearing up. This is getting me already. I know what's coming and I still can't handle it. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, KGeekXX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to The Last of Us. We are now into episode 3, which is called Long, Long Time. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, the last episode was absolutely phenomenal, just like the first episode was. This series is hitting every way that it's supposed to. It's really, really well done. You can tell that everyone involved really put 110% in this, and it's showing in everything. Like, last episode, we got to really explore this world that we live in 20 years post the infection starting, and it was just done so well. It was done so well. And I think a lot of people were concerned about that because if you've played the game, it's a big open world game and there's a lot of attention to the surroundings that are in there, the buildings, the structures, everything you go into, etc. So I think a lot of people are a bit worried about how that might turn out because obviously our current world does not look like that, thank the Lord. And it is very different as well. Like in the game, I mentioned in the review of the last episode that the developers really wanted it to look like the world had been retaken by nature. So that's a very interesting concept, and it's not one that's easy to replicate in a cityscape, but I think they did a great job of mixing the CGI with the practical effects, and it was beautiful to look at. Major things that happened in the last episode is we lost Tess, and we didn't really get to see a lot of her in the show, but we got enough in the first 2 episodes to understand what kind of a person she was and the dynamic she had with Joel to some extent. This is going to sting for Joel to lose somebody again. This is twice now that someone has had to die fairly violently in front of him. And so seeing where that's going to take him now that he is on this trek now with Ellie, something that he didn't want to do in the first place, but now he's been tasked with as a dying wish, is going to be very interesting to set up their dynamic going forward, because we see that Ellie, she didn't ask for any of this either, but she's now been thrust into this situation with the person that has from the get-go made it pretty clear that he's not happy about the situation. So very much looking forward to going into this episode now. So let's just jump right in. But before I do, if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I do reactions to shows like this here, as well as movies and animes and all kinds of good stuff. So if you are interested in watching me do that, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, as well as a notification bell. That way you can be notified when I do more uploads. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it so much if you just smash that like button. It just helps keep the infection away and the cordyceps in control, but also it helps people to see my video, which would be very much appreciated. And for those of you who've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Welcome back. And if you've not joined the family already, please do. We are still on that march to 10K, and I'd love to see you as part of that. Okay, that out of the way, guys, let's get into episode 3 right about now. Right into the episode. No cold open this time. Interesting. Maybe they were tired of completely terrifying us with scientific possibilities in the beginnings of these episodes. Not sad about it. Oh, that's pretty. I bet you that's around Banff. Oh, is that for Tess? Oh wait, there's mountains in the background. Yeah, that's probably on the way to Banff. A lot of very beautiful nature parks in the Alberta area for anyone who might be interested in some tourism.
You want your jacket back?
This isn't awkward.
Look, I've been thinking about...
I don't want your sorries.
I wasn't going to say I'm sorry. Nobody made you go along with this plan. You needed a truck battery or whatever, and you made a choice. So don't blame me for something that isn't my fault.
Let him know, Ellie. Let him know. Tess made that choice too. It was a valid argument. No rebuttal needed. I really like that Ellie stands up for herself, because it's true. It's not her fault. I think she still does feel a little bit of guilt. That speech might have been a little bit for her as well as Joel, but it's true. When someone dies, it's our natural instinct to want to blame somebody. But in this case, it sadly was just a risk they both knew they were taking by taking Ellie.
Did you suck at shooting, or like in general?
Wow.
Seeing as it's just the 2 of us, I was thinking I should
He knows. He knows what you want, and you're still not ready. However, she's not wrong. With just the 2 of them now, better that she's not completely vulnerable. One of the things I always think about these zombie apocalypse things, and I know like men probably don't think about this, but as women, I always wonder about how you take care of your feminine needs. because those would just still be there and no one's manufacturing it. So that box, gold, worth gold.
Get shoved into a middle seat, pay $12 for a sandwich.
Dude, you got to go up in the sky.
Right? But truthfully, I can't even imagine. Like, it's not the things we take for granted in our world. Like, if you have flown anywhere, that it's kind of crazy that we literally move from one continent to another in a big tin box in the sky. Is kind of crazy.
How did it even start? If you have to get bit to be infected, then who bit the first person?
We still don't know.
Best guess, cordyceps mutated. Some of it got into the food supply. Probably a basic ingredient like flour or sugar.
Wheat. Mm-hmm.
Pancake mix. You eat enough of it, it'll get you infected. Day goes on. They started to get sick. Afternoon, evening, they got worse. Then they started biting. Friday night, September 26, 2003.
Damn. He will never forget that day. So the moral of the story is stop eating cereal and bread. Got it. Good thing I'm not a big gluten fan.
Thanks.
Sure.
Keep knocking at that wall, Ellie. You're getting there.
Oh, now I have to see.
I don't want you to. Serious, Ellie.
Oh, look at Joel's daddy instincts kicking in. This is always such a hard thing because on the one hand, Ellie kind of needs to see because this isn't going to get any easier. But at the same time, I understand him wanting to protect her innocence.
Told you were going to a QZ, and you were. If there was room. If there wasn't.
Disposed of. Ugh. Humanity can really be depraved.
I killed him. Why not
Because
just
they will
leave him
become
be?
affected.
Dead people can't be infected.
Not the why would you show us the baby? That was not. I didn't need that. Oh my God, that's so morbid. I didn't need that. Every time I think this show can't traumatize me again. Oh. So this is one of those.
You New World Order jackboot fucks.
What he said. Oh, is this? Be quiet. Damn. Okay. Basements in America scare me. I'm not even lying because I know that basements like this exist right now. Oh, his porch is so pretty though. He's like, the town is mine. Not gonna lie, as an introvert, it's kind of the dream come true to have an entire town to yourself. Initially. Oh yeah, you get that premium. That's right, bro. That's right. The Home Depot. I guess he's authorized personnel now. I mean, that's an essential. Let's be real. First place I'm going, to be quite honest. It's interesting because all of this would only have been possible back in like 2003 and earlier because it was before there was surveillance everywhere. Nowadays, this guy would have been caught within a day. He's loving it. He was meant for this life. This is again reminding me that I'd be completely useless in an apocalypse because I can't chop wood. Well, I don't know how to make whatever it is he's making. I literally just have locked myself in a Costco and prayed. Where did you get chickens? Okay, he's a chef. Man can cook too. Ladies, find you a man that can build you a post-apocalypse bunker. Make your food from scratch, quite literally, and chop wood.
Oh.
Effective. So that's what we do for TV now. A bit morbid, but it'll do. This man was a genius. Did he? Maybe he started this infection. It seems like he planned this. 4 years later, it is. There is something to be said, I guess, for living in a smaller town. Because again, if he lived in a city area, he would have been looted easily by now.
None infected.
Oh, someone dropped in. With that, he absolutely destroyed that song. The disrespect in an apocalypse. I love that this man is such an anomaly in some ways. Like, he plays piano, he hunts,
Bye.
he sings, he cooks.
Take things in stride.
Outside of needing a shave, he's kind of the perfect apocalyptic man.
That's what someone told me.
Frank's like, I've got this man exactly where I want him. He's a sensitive little post-apocalyptic man.
So, who's the girl?
You're assuming? He's fishing.
There is no girl.
And that's how pros do it, people. That's how you find out if someone's single. Sir, this was not on the menu. But it's been 4 years, I guess.
Go take a shower, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you. It's about time people said this. Like, in these post-apocalyptic times, you need to be fresh. You need to be hygienic. The way Frank has just made himself at home in a matter of hours, like, this should be studied, y'all. The riz on this guy. I can't. I'm in shock.
I don't have sex for lunches.
I mean, it's the apocalypse. Is anyone really going to judge you? All I'm thinking is, like, at this point, I mean, who's going to judge you for something that you need to survive? I think people have done far worse.
Come on!
Oh,
Our home isn't just our house, it's everything around us! Give me
hour?
You live in a psycho bunker where 9/11 was an inside job and the government are all Nazis.
The government are all Nazis!
I'll do everything else myself.
It is not
Bill,
a ma-
if you say resource management, so help me, I will run through one of your tripwires.
The dramatics. Give the man some damn paint.
This is my street too. Just let me love it the way I want to.
Give the man some damn paint.
The boutique.
Frank is bored.
Are we hosting formal garden parties now?
No.
Yes.
We will never have friends because there are no friends to be had.
I've actually been talking to a nice woman on the radio.
You traitorous bastard.
Can you not, please?
This is the best dinner party ever.
Well, can I just say, gun aside, which I get, by the way,
So nice to see Tess again.
even if we don't end up working together, I really needed this.
We are working together.
Bill doesn't like it. I love that Bill and Joel are like equally distrustful.
Been wanting to see inside.
Not inside.
Thank you. Yes.
Frank!
They're going inside.
Frank!
Hi. Lovely day. The venison, succulent.
But of all the people he could have found on the radio, we're actually decent people just trying to get by.
Facts. Well, decent-ish.
Machine parts. We can help each other and get that gun out of my face.
Period. Don't think because he's hot, he's not dangerous. Which makes him more hot.
I don't need you or your friend complicating
you're-
our lives.
I think your partner does, though.
That fence has got a year on it. Tops.
Let him know.
Because anyone's listening.
Oh, that's a good idea. Like what?
Like, I was thinking, like, the decades, like 80s trouble.
Aw, Tess and Frank were besties. I like it. Another 3 years. What are we at? 10 years now. Okay. So 2013-ish.
I can't.
Just one more loop around.
Dude, come on. You can't be a survivalist and not be able to run a mile. I do love me some strawberries. Very good pick. If it had been raspberries, we would have had to, I'd be like, you're leaving. Get out. We're breaking up. It's a good way to catch rabbits, too. They love strawberries. That giggle was really, really cute. It's so wholesome. This whole scene is actually very beautifully shot.
I was never afraid before you showed up.
Ooh, this is deep. Because even if there wasn't a whole mushroom apocalypse, that is the reality of letting people into your life and falling in love or loving people in general, is that you then become vulnerable and then you have to worry about people to care about. And that's a really good parallel with what's going on with Ellie and Joel right now. The Raiders are here, just like Joel anticipated. You're too well set up in this town. Wakey up. Wakey, wakey. Eggs and bakey. Damn. Bill was not joking around. This is terrifying, like not being able to see what's going on and just straight up explosions outside. This would be so triggering to like back when everything started. What is your non-shooting ass doing out here? Get in the house, Frank. Dinner. Okay, you know what? Bill's a bit of a badass, ain't gonna lie. And that's what happens when you run outside, you get your man shot. Bill's a bit of a psychopath. I actually appreciate it. I think it went right through.
We got this. Hold your hand there for me. Hold your hand there.
He's very calm.
Call Joel. You can't be here alone.
Oh, he's preparing to die.
Call Joel.
Look at that. He went from "we don't need your help" to "please call Joel."
He'll take care of you.
Kudos to Frank. He was cool as a cucumber in this. No freaking out. Let's just get the bullet out if it's in there. Okay, now we're getting closer to our tie. Yeah. Oh no, what happened to him? What? He was so healthy. It looks like something muscular since his hands. MS maybe? He looks like Santa. The last guy who looked like Santa did not fare well. Wow, Frank's got you wearing plaid, bro. Interesting. Wonder when he started that.
Did you take your pills?
Oh, no.
Turns out it was very good you met Joel and Tess so you could get those pills, hey? I'm wondering how he got diagnosed. Maybe they smuggled a doctor out there? I am tearing up. This is getting me already. I know what's coming and I still can't handle it. You got out of bed. He's just watching you like a stalker.
Back in
I
bed.
promise you I'm gonna stay up.
Why?
Because this is my last day. There wasn't anything to cure this before the world fell apart.
Facts.
Bill.
Incredibly. I feel like it's really selfish, but at the same time, I don't know. Bill didn't ask for this. He was living his best loner life, and you just had to come in here, make him care about you, and then do this.
I'm not going to give you the "every day was a wonderful gift from God" speech. I have had a lot of bad days. I've had bad days with you, too.
Facts. Bill's like, why did you call me over here? Because I didn't need to hear this right now.
Then you will crush all of these up, put them in my wine. I will drink it. And I will fall asleep in your arms.
For the last time? That's,
I can't.
that's a lot to ask.
Do you
It's
love
too
me?
much. Oh, no. I will talk about this after. I wonder if he finished the painting. Quiet piano side ceremony. I actually like the stylistic choice of having music over the vows. Not that it wouldn't be nice to hear or whatever, but at this point it's kind of not the point, right, of the scene. So, very true. Honestly, music is such a huge part of our existence. And for me, like, I couldn't imagine living without it. That's one thing I noticed when Frank started playing the piano, of like how important music actually is. R.I.P. Bill and Frank. Very interesting shot. The open window of the room. We're still zooming out. We stopped. Okay. Ooh, good song choice as well. For a second there, I thought maybe Frank was still alive. Or not Frank, Bill. But yeah, I guess no. Wow. This episode was devastating on a different level. Really well done. Like, that was a whole movie in one episode, guys. Like, they told an entire arc of a storyline of characters in this episode, and it was so brilliantly done. So those are both characters that are in the game. That's as much as I'll pretty much say about it. But it's for, just so you know, like this is different. Like this, they took a departure from the game on a few things where the Bill and Frank situation went, and they definitely expanded on it too, because it's not this in depth, but that's as much as I'll say. And it was quite interesting to watch this go down from just so many angles, really starting off from having someone like Bill who is prepared for this from long before it ever happened. And there are people like that now, right? People who have bunkers, and, you know, for whether it's nuclear war or whatever perceived danger they think is coming, people who've got food from years hoarded in their garages. Like, these people exist. And yes, there's some people who think that they're crazy, but a lot of other people think it's not a bad idea. Like, what if something does happen? Are they going to be in a better position than others? And we saw that in Bill's case. He had a perfect situation. He lived in a quiet little suburb town. They evacuated it, which unfortunately we found out devastatingly what happened to many of the people that were in that evacuation. But anyway, he was already prepared. He basically waited for the army to leave, and then he set up his own little perimeter, which was basically his entire little community, and he was good to go. He had all the skills necessary to survive on his own, from hunting to being able to rig things, electrical knowledge, you name it, cooking, you know, not even just like basic cooking. My guy was cooking gourmet meals, raising animals, farming. Like, he was prepared. Okay, he was very prepared for the world to end and to how to survive on his own. And I'm willing to bet that he was already a bit of an introvert, because hearing a lot of what he said about like how he was perfectly chill and happy with everyone being gone and him being alone, that's a very introverted type of thing to say. And I was joking in the episode. Obviously, most introverts should not want the entire world to go away, but if you are someone who's very okay with being alone, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And we saw he wasn't panicking, he wasn't upset, he was literally in his element and he was enjoying it. And he thought that was the way to go. He thought that was going to be like the way to live for the rest of his life, until someone stumbled into it, quite literally, and forced their way into his space and made him realize that even though being alone can be great in many, many ways, loneliness is not great. And as humans, we're not built to deal with extreme loneliness. It actually adversely affects us in the long term. And I don't think Bill realized how lonely he was until Frank showed up and gave him some company and, you know, took interest in things he was interested in, etc., etc. So seeing how that went and how it started out from, you know, him trying to keep everybody at bay to suddenly having this person that he cares about and building a life. And then, of course, having that person be someone who brought more people into his life. Because as we saw, Bill was very happy with, okay, it's just Bill and Frank. We don't need anybody else. But then Frank was like, no, like, we need people. Like, we can't just be alone here. Like, it's not enough for just the two of us to be here. We need people, if not just for safety, but just because, you know, bless you, you're amazing, but I don't want to just look at your face forever. It was like he just kept opening these doors for Bill and showing Bill a world that would probably have not been possible otherwise. And watching that whole thing happen where, you know, we saw that Frank was like he was the extrovert, the outdoorsy person, the bright personality, one could say, as well as the person who was the athletic and the you know, the dreamer, you could say. And then to see that even after Bill got shot, and it kind of looked like Bill was prepared to die. Like, Bill definitely thought he was going to die before Frank. And then it turns out that unfortunately life happened. And, you know, even though we're in a world in this show where you've got mushroom faces chasing you around, there's still just good old fashioned disease that still exists. There's still going to be illnesses and problems that exist in our world that would not have had possibly any medical attention, possibly any progression, right? Because we got to assume that most medical advancements ended in 2003 outside of things that were looking to stop the spread of this mushroom problem. And so it looks like, again, they never really said what Frank had, but just to look at it, it looked to me like it was MS, possibly. And MS it can be a very cruel illness, especially if you don't have proper treatment. And for some people, they can live with it for a very long time and not have as many adverse effects. But for others, it can be very crippling very quickly. And it's hard. It's a very hard thing to manage in our world today. So I can only imagine in a world where they don't have all the access that they need and, all the comforts that would be necessary to help him do better with it. So anyway, we see that thanks to the connection that they ended up creating with Joel and Tess, they were able to at least get medications to manage it. But we see that there came a point where Frank didn't want to continue this way. He knew that it wasn't going to get any better. He knew that unfortunately it was going to get to the point where Bill would be responsible for everything that needed to be done with him, and he didn't want to live out the rest of his life like that. And I said in the episode that it's actually kind of a blessing in a world like that for them to actually be able to grow old and die of, well, in this case, not so natural causes, but still, it's not necessarily the best way to go. And I can only imagine, how it would be for someone to be in that position, to know that you're going to be, especially in the case of Bill and Frank, where there's literally no one else, mostly because Bill wants it that way, but there's no one else. And Frank realized that Bill would really be the sole person to deal with all of it. And I think he felt somewhat possibly guilty and maybe like a burden. And that's one of the reasons why he decided in the end he didn't want to wait until things got to the worst. And I really liked that when they showed the first initial dinner between Bill and Frank and Tess and Joel, the parallels between them as couples, I should say. That both of them were, like I said, Joel and Bill, very similar, right? Jaded, blocked off, closed off, still trying to maintain this distrust of everything and everyone. Tess and Frank being a little bit more open, like wary of the world, understanding of it, trying to deal with these emotionally blocked people, but still caring enough about them to keep trudging on and dealing with them just the same. And anyways, we do see eventually that Frank asks Bill to be the one to help him end his life in his own, basically by his own, in a way that he feels is dignified. And I'm not going to get too much into the morality of that. Like, I think that it's a very contentious topic, and I think it's a very personal one for anyone who's ever in that position. And I haven't been in that position personally, so I can't speak to it. The only thing that I kind of thought was, and I kind of got upset with a bit in the episode, was that while it was definitely Frank's decision to potentially not want to carry on this way, I think asking Bill to do it was a bit selfish. I mean, and especially layering on the guilt of, oh, if you love me, then you'll do this. Like, and again, I guess with the assumption, right? At first, the assumption Frank had was that Bill was going to continue living on without him. Imagine leaving. Like, to me, I'm just like, did you even think about, like, yes, obviously I get it. Your life really sucks right now. You're deteriorating with this disease. You don't want to do that anymore. But can we have a little consideration of, if you are leaving this person behind, that you're giving them the memory of being the reason you're not here anymore? Like, I don't know. I just felt like that just was a little too much, especially when they'd have access to two people. Like, I'm like, you could have called Tess. Tess would have happily done that. Not happily, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Tess or Joel would have done that for him. But I get that it was an intimate thing and he kind of wanted it since it was just the two of them. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand why. I just still feel like it's a bit selfish. And he didn't really think about what Bill would have to live with and carry after that. Especially knowing that Bill was the kind of person who was going to end up being alone too, because he wasn't going to go out and find someone else. He wasn't going to go out and meet people. So anyways, that's the only thing I wanted to kind of comment on. I didn't really get into during the show because it was a very emotional series going on right there, and I didn't want to break it up with a rant, but that's just all I felt, and that's all I wanted to say about it, is that I feel like that's kind of the part of it that's a bit crazy with those situations. But again, I've never been in it, and I'm not judging people who do it, and I'm sure that, for those who've been through it, they've made peace or feel like they made the right choice. But digressing, yeah, it was very sad to see, but in the end, I understand Bill's choice, where he felt like, again, like we saw that he'd aged quite a bit. We don't know how old Bill was when it started, but he was looking very old towards the end, and he was already a recluse before he met Frank. It was going to get worse after, because now it's not just that he was a recluse, but now he's lost somebody that he cares about. It was going to be a lot, and he wasn't going to risk caring about somebody else at this point in his life, when he was already someone who tended to, pull back from society already. So I understand in the end why he made the choice that he did. And, as Frank said, in a very Romeo and Juliet way, it was romantic, but it's also incredibly sad and incredibly heartbreaking. But, fitting, I think, in their particular case. And the fact that he prepared for the fact that he knew that if anyone was going to end up finding them, it would most likely be Joel, and that he left, stuff that Joel would be able to use, and was able to kind of do one last favor for Joel. And I really like that final letter. In the episode, I mentioned letters because I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but letters are a big part of the game. That's pretty much all I'll say, is that there's a lot with letters in the game, and it actually adds a lot to the game. And I was wondering whether or not they were going to incorporate letters into the show, and they have here. This is one of the first examples, and I think they did it really, really well. Bill kind of saying his final goodbyes, but also, again, giving Joel that reminder about the promise that he made to Tess. Basically, I love that line where he said, Joel, we're two people who are very similar in that we understand that this world's messed up and how easy it would be to just not care about anything, but we have people in our lives that we do care about, and we're protectors, and that's what we're here to do. And you got to keep doing that. You got to keep being that person. And of course, he was referring to Tess because he did not know about Ellie, but still, it's such a true statement about Joel. And I think he needed that reminder, because since episode 1, we've seen that Joel is very much that person. He's a protector. He's someone who often tosses aside concern for himself to take care of the people that he cares about. And so getting that reminder from somebody who barely knew him, and of course hearing Tess's name again and having to kind of once again deal with the grief that he's trying to ignore, I think was really valid. And again, I think that one of the other sad things that happened was we saw at the beginning of the episode that Ellie kind of gave Joel that lecture about, like, don't blame me for what happened to Tess, because you both made this decision as adults to come out here and you knew the risks. But also, like, she wants to talk about it, right? Because Ellie has also gone through some loss. We don't know all of it yet, but clearly if she was an orphan growing up in the QZ, she's probably experienced loss to some degree, and she's still growing and learning, and loss is going to be a part of her life going forward regardless. And so Joel right now is going to be that person in her life who can talk to her about that. And really, even for Joel, he needs to process his grief. And I would even venture to say that Joel has not dealt with his grief over Sarah yet, let alone Tess. And so, like, hearing him just kind of tell her, like, don't mention her name, don't talk about our pasts, that is, first of all, not going to happen. There's no way you can spend time with someone for such a long time and not have some of your life commingle with theirs. But also, we've seen that Ellie is someone who, thank goodness, she's persistent. She isn't deterred by Joel's his brusqueness, his burly behavior. She just keeps asking. She just keeps, picking away at that wall of his. And as I said in the early part of the episode, it's what he needs, because he's using these defense mechanisms, which is exactly what they are. The shortness, the rudeness, the brusque behavior, the coldness. These are all defense mechanisms because he lost someone he cared about so much, so early, and probably so many people since. And he's just trying so hard not to form an attachment to Ellie. But kids often find a way of worming their way through the cracks, and there are cracks. They're small, but they're there. And she's picking away at them. And as I said in the episode, keep going, Ellie, you're going to get there. And even though Joel set out his rules, we see that Ellie's already not listening to him. So it will not be long, I think, before they will be starting to trade some stories and continuing to bond, which is what we want to see. That's the whole point of this series, and what makes it, I think, is going to make it pretty epic. But anyways, I've talked enough. This was a great episode. Like I said, it was like a whole movie in an episode. They did such a fantastic job. The actors did a brilliant job. Like, they had me on the brink of tears, especially the guy who played Bill. Like I said, he didn't even say that much, but he did so much with his face, his facial expression. I say, like, the eyes especially, because the whole bottom half of his face was basically fur. His eyes, I saw everything that man was feeling through those eyes. Like, he is damn good at his job. So just really, again, I feel like this far, every episode deserves like an award, but this one, I could definitely see winning an award for something. Between the writing and the directing, the way it looked, the way it was filmed, it was just really, really good. And like I said, I'm tired of saying how good this show is. Like, it's amazing. And yes, I heard that they were renewed, and it was well deserved. Good to know we already have season 2 on the way. But yeah, great episode, guys. I enjoyed it so much. What did you think? What are your thoughts? Please leave them below in the comments. I love reading them and interacting with you guys. And if you liked watching this video along with me, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Otherwise, we will see you in the next video.